There we go.
Call to order meeting of the Wilsonville City Council Monday, October 18th at 7 p.m. Will the city recorder please call the roll?
Councilor West.
Here.
Council President AKERVALL.
Here.
Councilor LEHAN.
Here.
Mayor Fitzgerald. And Councilor Linville is excused.
Thank you. Will the city manager please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the order of agenda?
Your Honor, I move to approve the order agenda as read.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Moving to mayor's business, I wanted to mention that let you know that our next city council meeting is Monday. Actually, don't have that date right in front of me here. Monday, October, just a second. Or no, excuse me, I didn't have this calendar in front of me. Our next city council meeting is Monday, November 1st. Wanted to talk about some of the activities that have been happening since we met last. I did have a great time attending the Harvest Fest. That was one of the fall activities the city put on. It was a great event with lots of people from the community there. Our sister city, Kitikata Sister City Committee, had a booth and talked to a lot of people. The Library Foundation had some people promoting the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. There was lots of parks activities, including a costume parade, free pumpkins, a number of other activities. Sorry. Okay. So there may have been some other counselors there. Let me see, a couple of other items that I wanted to talk about that we had at that event included, oh yes, I did not see the magician. There was a magician, there was live music, and lots of great fun. So I just want to showcase that for everybody who was not able to attend and promote it for next year. Councilor Linville is excused today for another obligation, but so I will report on one of her activities. Councilor Linville serves on the as a member of the Willamette Falls Locks Commission, as we've heard her describe before, and she represents the City Council and the City of Wilsonville, and she is working with the Willamette Falls Locks Commission to create a new Willamette Falls Locks Authority, as she has described at earlier meetings. And as you may recall, the Willamette Falls Locks Authority was created by the 2021 legislature as a public-private corporation to reopen and operate the locks, which have been closed since 2011 due to extreme maintenance conditions that needed a lot of attention, and we've come to this place where it's really moving forward. The commission is now considering prospective nominees to be members of that commission, and Councilor Linville has nominated 2 excellent prospective nominees, including City Councilor Charlotte LEHAN, who's with us in this meeting today, and Councilor LEHAN has a lot of experience with Willamette River history and issues, and I hope you'll talk maybe a little bit more about that later, Councilor LEHAN, including experience with the locks and the proposed national heritage area. In addition to serving as a city councilor, Councilor LEHAN has also served as a former mayor of Wilsonville and former Clackamas County commissioner, and it would be great to have her input on this really monumental commission that's been appointed for such a big change to the Willamette River that would be opening the locks again. The other recommended citizen for this commission that Councilor Linville has presented to us to consider, to just be aware of, is a citizen named Michael Bernert, who is Vice President of Wilsonville Concrete and Marine Industrial. The Bernert family operates operates Wilsonville Concrete, and they're longtime residents that were really, with their business, negatively impacted by the closure of the lock. So I understand that Mr. Bernert is considering this, and he would, if he is able to take this opportunity on and serve in this capacity, Councilor Linville recommends that he would bring an excellent industrial, marine, and river business perspectives to the authority. So I understand that Councilor LEHAN has accepted the nomination, and Mr. Bernert is still considering. Just a couple of meetings that I attended recently, I attended and watched. I was not able to attend the aviation board meeting last week, but I did watch a review of that. And I have to say, I was really dismayed to hear that the aviation board and staff announcements indicated that they've pretty much assumed a lot of development, a lot of things happening regarding the airport that should be the purview of the citizen committee that has not even started meeting yet. So we've talked in previous meetings about the Aurora State Airport and plans for expansion, and we were encouraged by the fact that there will be a citizen involvement committee to participate in the long range, a new master plan development. And that it's a very involved process that's funded by taxpayers at the cost of about $1 million. And the purpose of that is to determine if the data and community sentiments justify more tax-funded subsidies to this airport for expansion. But in advance of that process even starting, what was observed at the meeting is the aviation department has announced that they want to spend $33 million to $37 million for a taxpayer-funded expansion of the Aurora State Airport starting in fiscal year 2024, and that would include a major runway extension. Now, this participant advisory committee has not yet started. It is going to start soon, and we look forward to very strong citizen participation to listen, observe, and contribute to the planning process. My question is that I'm really looking for as I participate in this is, has the aviation department really decided the future expansion of the Aurora Airport even before this master plan process has taken place? I hope not. That prior 2011 Aurora State Airport master plan was found recently, as we read in the papers, by the Oregon Court of Appeals to be invalid due to violations of state land use and public process laws. So I'll note that a predetermined outcome of the Aurora State Airport master plan is exactly what caused that all of the conflict regarding the 2011 master plan, and we certainly don't want to see that repeated. We want to see good representation of citizen input as a part of the process. So the data impacts ascertained in a formal public process master plan would include getting input from local area citizens and the neighboring communities. So we will continue diligently watching for that and advocating for the interests of all of the citizens of Wilsonville as that proceeds. And we'll keep reporting back in these meetings. I attended a meeting of the Washington County Coordinating Committee today, and these are all the cities in Washington County. We heard about a 1-hour presentation, including discussion by ODOT regarding the tolling really the tolling that was authorized by the legislature in 2017, and then the subsequent regional mobility pricing project. And this is something that there's a lot to learn and listen to. It's a really long process, but I was glad to participate in another presentation and discussion about that with Washington County cities. There will be a future discussion, another discussion like this later this week with Clackamas County cities, if any of the councilors would like to attend that. But really what we see ahead of us, one of my questions for ODOT was, what is the public engagement plan? It's this topic of tolling and congestion pricing and finding revenues to reduce congestion on our freeways and also build new facilities where we need them, like the Boone Bridge, improving 217, also Rose Quarter, and I-205, even going up to the Interstate Bridge. Where are we going to start seeing some public engagement opportunities so members of the public can go to workshops and learn about this? There is quite a bit already on the ODOT website, so people can go there to learn, but they recognize that they want to do a lot of in-person interactions, and those are in the planning stages now, looking forward to seeing more chances for people to get involved in that discussion. And it actually has a pretty long time frame, but I'm committed to continuing to learn more about it and how it's all going to work for the benefit of our citizens and manage all the concerns that we've been bringing up since, I believe, over a year ago, the city has submitted testimony regarding how can we manage the diversion that may come about with tolls, how can we manage equity, how do you keep freight moving, and how do you know, how will they determine how to invest the funds that are received? So a lot of those things are in development right now. The next thing that's coming up is in mid-November is a deadline for communities to submit testimony for the NEPA process regarding I-205, and we will be submitting the same, some of the concerns that I just mentioned that we want to say to ODOT if tolling is adopted. These are the current concerns that we have for our city that we want to know more about. So at this point, they're just looking at the I-205 area, and we'll hear more about other areas of the freeway system in the months ahead. At the meeting with the Washington cities and mayors, we also discussed Washington County's Major Streets Transportation Improvement Program, otherwise known as the MS-TIP. Washington County has a revenue stream specifically for those streets, for the streets in Washington County. So we reviewed a system of county-wide map eligibility criteria and outreach efforts. And there are that could receive funding through this mechanism. And I did want to point out there are several streets in the Wilsonville area that are eligible for this program. It includes portions of Day Road, Boone's Ferry, Ellingson Road, and others. And let me correct the date for our next council meeting. It's Monday, November 2nd. Next week, as I mentioned, is another meeting of the Clackamas cities. It's called the C4 Metro Subcommittee. It's going to be held on October 20th, and we will once again be discussing the I-205 toll project and the Regional Transportation Plan Amendment. We'll also be discussing the 2021 Transportation System Management and Operations Strategy that has its own acronym that I haven't ever seen before, but it's called TISMO. Coming up is another meeting of Clackamas County mayors and chair, and we have the League of Oregon Cities Conference and membership meeting. We'll be voting for some of the bylaws changes regarding League of Oregon Cities. And I know some of the councilors attend a lot of League of Oregon Cities meetings, and we do get a lot out of that. On October 26th is a special event coming up that all the councilors will get a note on this, and I know that we'll have it on our website. It is a kickoff event for the Bus on Shoulder pilot project. This is a topic that actually aligns with some of these discussions about traffic congestion, and that is regarding developing a pilot program where when traffic gets below 35 miles an hour, in this concept, buses can travel on an improved shoulder. The Wilsonville Transit System, SMART, has been invited to pilot this program. We'll be having a kickoff on, as I said, October 26th. We're excited to see that coming along. I'm sorry this is such a long report. I have just one more item, and I just wanted to highlight something that we've publicized quite a bit, and that is, we'll keep doing it, and that is Wilsonville Civics Academy has an application deadline coming up October 31st. And the Citizens Academy, as I think we've described before, it's a really great opportunity to enroll in a 6-month program. They meet once a month for about 3 hours, and you learn all about the city and how it works. You learn about roles for citizens to participate on government boards and commissions, how the budget works, finance department, all the way through. It's actually very popular, and I highly recommend it. So it's open to residents and kicks off December 2021. You can get applications from the city's website in English and in Spanish. So with that, I will move to the communications segment of our agenda and welcome our Kitikata Sister City Advisory Board to talk about their work plan. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Baylor. I work in the Parks and Rec Department as the Recreation Coordinator, and I'm joined by we're here tonight with the Kitikata Sister City Advisory Board, and I am joined by our Chair, Ashley Summerlin, who's here with me to present tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to pull up our presentation. All right, so I don't even remember the last time we were at council to really give you an update about the newly quote-unquote formed Kitikata Sister City Advisory Board, but we've been an official city board since January, and before we get started and dive into kind of our goals and vision, which is what this presentation is about, I just quickly wanted to say that this group, our board members and Ashley, our chair, have been just like an absolute pleasure to work with. They're a really creative group of people, and I honestly look forward to our meetings because we have such good conversation and so many good ideas. I'm really excited to share with you what we have tonight. So here we go. Ashley, I'm going to hand it to you just to do a brief overview.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Ashley. I think I've met most of you, but yeah, I am the chair of the group, and I'm excited to go over this with you guys. So our group, it was established in 1988, so we have over 30 long years of history with Kitikata. Yeah, number two, over the years, we have primarily focused on student delegations. So it hasn't really been very focused on city or business, but just yearly delegations from both towns. And as of this year, all of you know already, we had our association acquired by the city. So we came together with some people from our previous board and a bunch of newcomers as well. And from there, we have worked together and come up with a lot of really great ideas. Very focused on our Wilsonville community, and also an outreach to our sister city in Kitikata when time allows. But yeah, we have a lot of great ideas going forward.
All right, so we worked with Sarah Singer-Wilson Consulting, who you're probably familiar with. She went through multiple sessions with us to kind of narrow down all of our ideas into actual tangible goals and a vision with a bunch of different tasks set to each goal. So the vision statement that we came up with was the Wilsonville community celebrates our relationship with Kitikata through cultural immersion opportunities in education, food, business, and Japanese tradition. So that's kind of our vision moving forward for this plan. So our identified goals, I'm going to go over these briefly and then just give you just a few kind of tasks that we have under each goal, just to give you kind of a better idea of what the group's been working on over the last 6 months or so. And then we'll leave some time definitely at the questions for you all to ask away. So our first goal, strengthen the relationship between Kitikata and Wilsonville through the development of a shared vision and goals. So one of the ways that we've been working with this, silver lining of the pandemic is, I don't think there had been a whole lot of Zoom interaction between Kitikata and Wilsonville, surprisingly, in the past, and it's been such a wonderful technology to utilize. So we've been working on creating surveys and doing online meetings, virtual meetings with Kitikata to make sure that our efforts and goals are aligned. And then eventually moving forward into the future, we'll look at inviting them to Wilsonville again once, once we get the direction that travel is approved and okay for everybody. Goal 2, increase community awareness of the Kitikata Sister City program. So this is a goal that we've made a ton of headway with already. The board has been going above and beyond with tabling at events. As the mayor mentioned, we've done a whole host of different things that we'll get to another slide later that kind of dives into the different events that we've been attending to kind of get the word out there about our sister city, because I think as a board, we understand that a lot of people in Wilsonville actually may not even know that we have a sister city or we have these activities. So other ways that we're doing this or supporting this goal, trying to come up with consistent messaging, having, a more official presence with something as simple as official brochures, a tablecloth, kind of a real sort of event sort of setup, so that Kitikata, when we go out to promote the group, we have a professional sort of setup and consistent messaging. We're doing more consistent updates in the Bloomsbury Messenger and your city manager reports. We're looking to work with the DEI committee on potentially trying to promote something around Asian History Month, and then also doing more multimedia shares with the community about Kitikata. So goal 3, engage Wilsonville's youth in the Sister City program through expanded education and offerings. So this is one that will probably has kind of taken a little bit of a backseat right now as far as the actual the trips to Japan go, but in the future we're looking to sort of revamp some of the itineraries that we've had in the past. So when students come to visit from Japan, we have sort of fresh activities and places that we can show them throughout Wilsonville and Oregon, and also getting feedback from our counterparts in Japan on what's working during those trips and maybe what needs to be updated a little bit. Also hosting cultural classes at the community center. So we've had a lot of really great ideas about doing some sort of Japanese tea ceremony or Shinrin-yoku forest walking, some cultural activities that we can get out there and promote with as well. And also starting to look at the recruitment and selection process for how our students in Wilsonville are chosen to go to Japan. So traditionally it's been a lot of the Japanese language students that go, but we'd really like to kind of widen that sort of offering to a lot more students in the community as well. So looking at ways that we can do that. Goal 4, develop fundraising goals and priorities for the Kitikata Sister City program. As you know, you approved in your budget that we have a budget now, which is really exciting. So we've been able to work together to try to identify some of the things that we could spend money on, this year that would be beneficial that aren't related necessarily to travel expenses. And once we kind of have that year over year sort of demonstrated history of what we're spending the money on, potentially looking at fundraising opportunities as well in the community once we sort of outgrow that budget. And also looking how we can engage the business community too. And then our last goal, goal 5, foster economic ties, make connections, and build awareness of the Sister City program in the business community. This was, I think, something new for the group overall, and Ashley can probably speak better to that historically through the group than I can, but typically I don't think there's been much of a focus on the business community within this relationship, and that's something that when we went to Japan in 2019, they were really stressing that they wanted to promote more of is how can we tie our businesses together and learn from one another that way as well. And Ashley, I'll have you touch on some of the events that we've done so far.
Sure, Erica. So for number one, Erica very thoughtfully came up with a Tanabata tabling event. I believe that was in June or July. Is that correct, Erica?
Yeah.
And it is an event that they have in Japan where you hang wishes on a tree and you want your wish to be granted. It's a very small, cute little event that was pretty well received by the kids outside of Parks and Rec. For our second event that we tabled, it was the block party. And I think that was a pretty big success. We were handing out packets of Kitikata ramen to kind of build awareness. And I feel like we handed out quite a few pamphlets and gave people pretty good information on our group. There's a lot of people definitely surprised that Wilsonville has a sister city. So I think that was great. Number three, last Saturday, we tabled the Harvest Festival, and we collected the leaf pressings that a lot of the Wilsonville kids made, and we will be sending those over to Kitikata in the future. And number four, something that I'm really excited about, we are in the process of developing a pen pal program through Wilsonville, and we're still working out the details of how we want to do it, but essentially the main idea is that we will focus on pairing up students or just local community members. We haven't quite narrowed it down yet. And we'll pair them up on both sides and have them communicate and see where that goes. And then number five, we talked a lot about doing a Japanese tea ceremony event or class, and getting somebody to come and teach possibly at the community center to a group of people. And then lastly, we have the Shinrin-yoku walk, the forest bathing. So that is an outdoor public event that you can do, and it's very meditative and calming. So those are just a couple of the events that we have. We have a lot of ideas in our group, so that's just a couple of them.
All right, I know we're close to our end time here, but if there are any quick questions, we'd love to answer. Just looking, we really just wanted to present to you tonight to give you an idea of what we've been working on, and if you have any input, now would be a great time, and you can always contact us, via email too.
Thank you. Councilor LEHAN. I think you're muted.
I'm very excited that we're pulling this together and developing a program with some clear objectives. That's great. One of the ways that I think we can show our respect and admiration and et cetera for our sister city is to somehow learn how to pronounce the name, because I was pronouncing it wrong for many years, and then I was told that was wrong, you should pronounce it this way, and now it sounds like no one's pronouncing it that way. So where does the accent go? On which, the first, the second, or the third syllable, and and I'm not asking you to teach us right now, but maybe of our kids, some of our kids who have gone to Kitikata or Kitikata or however we're saying it, maybe they could come and give us a lesson. They could come and tell the city council so that we will not embarrass ourselves any further, not knowing how to pronounce this, because clearly I've gotten it wrong several times, and so that's my suggestion.
One of our former students who traveled there is with us here today. Our chair, Ashley Summerlin. So what say you, Chair?
I say it is pronounced Kitikata. So key as in the door key, what you open to open a door. Kita, ka, like the sound of crow makes. So Kitikata. That's how you pronounce it.
And the accent is on the key?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to have a practice session before anyone comes to town.
That is, I concur with you on that idea, Councilor LEHAN. So that is a great idea, and I really wanted to thank Chair Summerlin and also Ms. Baylor for all of your work getting this going. I see Council President AKERVALL, you have your hand up.
Sure, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. I just was curious, I think you talked about this a little bit, but in the goal-setting process that you all have been through, and you mentioned the Zoom meetings that you've been able to conduct over the last several months, I'm curious what sort of feedback or comments or thoughts you're receiving from the Kitikata partners on the alignment perhaps of their goals and now our goals. And you mentioned, a closer communication or tie to the business community, but is that kind of one of the main pieces, or what are you hearing?
Actually, I'll talk about that and then please add anything. So we've definitely heard larger business ties as a large thing that's coming out of our communications is business. How can we get our businesses, communities in touch? Another big thing has been expanded student opportunities. So, which comes with its own set of logistics, but more frequent delegations, larger delegations, just more frequent communication for our students, which, is probably doable. It's just also it's a hard one to meet right now. And then I would say probably just more frequent communication too. I think especially with council, with the mayor, with folks that work, in the city, I think they would love to probably have more frequent, at least Zoom communication.
Interesting, thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, the committee set up a meeting with the mayor of Kitikata several months ago, and they had the Chamber of Commerce there, and, I was invited, and it was just fabulous. There was so much enthusiasm, and as Councilor LEHAN knows, because you've been involved in this before, it just means a tremendous amount to that community, and I think we can see that it means a lot to our community too. And so I think when we had that meeting, we sure all hoped that we would be past all of these travel restrictions and COVID nightmares. I hope that that will subside and you can roll out your plans, because you've certainly got all the intention and expertise and enthusiasm to do it. Any other comments? All right, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Chair Summerlin and Ms. Baylor, and we'll see you at the next tabling event. And if you're doing a cooking class, let us know about that too.
We will.
Thank you.
Okay. So that brings us to the citizen input section of our meeting. And this is an opportunity for visitors to address the City Council on items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but are not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the City Council make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens' input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Use the raise hand feature of Zoom to let us know you would like to provide comments. Do we have any people waiting?
We do not, Mayor.
Thank you. So we'll move on to councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements that the councilors have attended as part of their assignments to represent the city and the region. And everybody has some assignments. Look forward to hearing from them about those activities, starting with Council President AKERVALL.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, I attended the Oregon Government Finance Officers Association Annual Conference, kind of a mouthful. I actually presented a session with representatives from Prosper Portland and the City of Gresham Urban Renewal District. And the session was titled Urban Renewal, Using Creativity and Diversity to Benefit Communities. And spoke some about urban renewal in Wilsonville, as well as our new WIN program and the community involvement specifically on the task force in shaping some of the ideas and concepts for that WIN program. Let's see, on October 6th was the Regional Water Providers Consortium meeting. I'm the alternate for that group, and while I wasn't able to attend that meeting, I connected with staff both before and after the meeting and learned that they represented us during the meeting. Some of the notes to share is, let's see, the proposed budget reallocations were approved. The city of Scappoose requested to join the consortium. And the consortium is also projecting a possible fee increase, but I guess we should all know about a 5% in the next fiscal year, which would be an additional, I believe, $800 for the city. And again, this group supports leadership in the planning and the management of drinking water in the metro area, and is also very involved in emergency preparedness work, which is one of our council goals, as well as water conservation efforts. Today, I listened in on the Washington County coordinator meeting that Mayor Fitzgerald covered. And also recently, let's see, or I guess coming up, the LOC annual conference is this Friday, as Mayor Fitzgerald mentioned, and I'll be attending that. This last week, there was a meeting of the Women's Caucus from the LOC group, and actually that Women's Caucus was established this last year. I know Councilor Linville has also shared about some of the meetings leading up to that. They've been looking for people to serve on the initial board of directors, and the nominating committee voted to approve a slate of candidates for those positions, and I am included as an at-large director. And so this will then be presented to the full caucus membership at the annual membership meeting this Friday. And coming up, there is a Willamette Intake Facilities board meeting on Monday at 6 p.m., which I will be attending. And also, we should all be aware, I believe there is a event at the Parks and Rec Administration office this week for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that is from today, starting today through Friday, 8 in the morning to 5 p.m., and they're collecting donations at the Parks and Rec Administration office, and those will go to support, I believe it's non-perishable food, toiletries, also perhaps monetary donations as well, to support breast cancer patients during their treatment appointment time, and I'm sure they have more information about this event that's taking place this week at the Parks building. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor LEHAN.
Okay, the main thing that I was involved with in terms of city things was the tourism. Is that right? Oh, maybe not. Maybe that was before that. Well, anyway, I'll just tell you I was part of the tourism committee meeting, whether that was since last we spoke or not. But we heard a lot of the plans from J. Ray and as they presented to us. And the main thing that was encouraging is the increased business that our hoteliers are seeing as we seem to be getting past the hump, although it's, you know, maybe it jinxes it if you say that, but on the COVID thing. So there's a glimmer of hope from our hoteliers and other people who are in the tourist industry that things are indeed picking up in the last quarter. And then the things I wanted to mention that are coming up are Bulky Waste Day, of course. I don't know if we're cutting that out, but Bulky Waste Day is coming up this Saturday. Actually, this is a very busy coming Saturday on the 23rd. So Bulky Waste Day is from 9 to 1, and you will need to wear it. You only need to get your bulky waste over to Ritter Road, which is a big improvement over driving it to Oregon City. Because driving it to Oregon City means going on the freeway. And if you're carrying a bulky thing like a mattress, that's embarrassing if you lose that on the freeway and dangerous. So this is much easier to drive slowly up 95th and over to Ritter and get rid of bulky waste like that right here locally without having to get on a freeway. You have to be from Wilsonville, and they ask that you bring some toiletries or toilet paper or whatever to donate to the food bank here. But otherwise, it is free to dump off your stuff. You do have to wear a mask inside the facility, and you need to offload your stuff yourself. So the staff is not there to help you offload your bulky waste. So if you need an assistant, you better bring one with you. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and that's going on from 9 to 1 on Saturday. From 9 to noon on that very, very same day is Daffodil Day. And that's on the other side of the creek from Wood School in the park at Merrifield. And just a little background on that. It used to be my grandfather's place, and my mother and her two sisters during the Depression, they were teenagers, and they planted all these daffodils over there to sell to the flower shops in Portland to raise money for the family. And those daffodils have been popping up, you know, all the time, but they're relatively small. And one of the neighbors over there, Nancy Cutler, decided she would enhance them by planting more, and she planted all these King Alfreds. They're much larger. They're just spectacular in the spring, and every year she plants hundreds, thousands more. So so it's a combination of all those King Alfreds and then the older, smaller daffodils that were planted by those girls in the Depression. So it has its own backstory, and there is a daffodil planting day from 9 to noon on Saturday. So if you're not busy with bulky waste, or you take care of your bulky waste very efficiently, you can head on over to, you can park in the Wood School parking lot and just walk across the bridge, and there you are. So that's one thing. And then another thing appears to be on the 23rd is a portrait day. Is that correct? We're having a community portrait project, which is Saturday at 10 a.m. over at Art Tech. And this is where high school students have been working on portraits of various Wilsonville volunteers. So, and it's headed up by Christopher Shatola Hart, who is what was the head of the art department at Wilsonville High School, and continues, even though he's retired out of the high school, he continues to be engaged in Wilsonville art projects of one sort and another, and this is one of them. So, so that is also worth trying to squeeze into your very busy Saturday to pop over and see this art exhibit. And that's all I have.
That's quite a bit. Thank you, Councilor LEHAN. Councilor West.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see here. First, I want to just being really reflective this last couple of weeks, and the hospitals have been a challenging place to work. I work at OHSU in cardiology. We're having staff diverted to try to deal with bedside issues and things like that, and staffing shortages. So just from like a nurse in the community who really cares about not only just public health outcomes and also really cares about public health policy, I want to encourage everybody to really dig deep, do some self-evaluation, ask the tough questions, and partner with your healthcare providers on getting the COVID vaccination. I know that there's still some hesitancy out there, and we can still do a little bit better. So I want to just let you guys know, as just your neighbor and as a city councilor, that the vaccine is the most safe and effective way that we have to really combat the virus right now. That is really indiscriminate and will come for anybody and everybody, especially the more vulnerable populations with comorbidities, people that are of an older demographic. We need to make sure that we're really still encouraging. People can still have questions. They don't deserve our scorn for having questions still. They don't deserve to be stigmatized or otherized based on a health status, but really making sure that they have a trusted healthcare advisor to help them walk through that decision that they need to make. So I just really want to encourage everybody out there, if you have any questions, you can privately call me. I've literally given my cell phone to everybody. I'd be more than happy to talk with you, talk to your doctor, talk to a nurse that you trust, and let's see if we can continue to progress Oregon's health a little bit further and save some lives and protect people that we love and care about. And it's just on the forefront of my mind because we are feeling it specifically right now in the healthcare community. Nurses are working crazy shifts. And so I just want to also give a big thank you to my colleagues who are out there really doing it, right? It's not easy. It's not always cute work. It's not glamorous, but they're pulling insane shifts and caring for their community, which is like the essence of nursing. And so I really want to just say thank you to my colleagues. Also, I want to just thank the mayor for her advocacy regarding tolling issues in our community, asking those important questions. I have been really concerned, as everybody knows, with the potential of diversion of traffic. What is the public safety cost to our community caused by toll diversion? Increased road maintenance that Wilsonville may see, especially with big trucks coming out, not in the North Corridor, but as Councilor LEHAN mentioned earlier about going in parts of the city where it's not really designed to go on county roads. And so thank you, Mayor, for that continued advocacy. I hope to maybe be able to attend that meeting that you brought up that's later this week just to get that additional information. I hope that if it's necessary that this council will advocate with a passion and a vigor in the same way that we did with the Aurora Airport to protect the interests of Wilsonville if that's what's needed. And I hope that somehow as they figure out these mitigating factors that maybe there's some reimbursement or help for Wilsonville if diversions come our way, and we need to really be mindful about what our ask is and how to get that handled. So thank you with that. I hope to attend that. Councilor LEHAN stole a lot of my thunder, but she forgot one big event on Saturday. There's one more all-big event. And so on October 23rd, because it's going to be a busy Saturday in Wilsonville, Friends of Trees is having their volunteer opportunity to do some tree planting here in Wilsonville. So you can plant trees and daffodils, bulky waste day, go to an art I mean, there's a lot to do, right? So no experience necessary. It's a high need event on the Friends of Trees website. So if you go there and see like, what does this entail? There's like a little asterisk like high need. So they really do need volunteers. It starts at 9. I'm not sure when it ends, but I would assume it's a good chunk of the day. You would probably sign up for a partial hour or two if you need to help plant trees. I think this is phenomenal considering that we just went through the ice storm and there's a lot of tree replacement to be done. We've ground some stumps, we've done the work, so now we get to do the fun part and it's put some living trees back into our tree city. And if you want, you can go to I'm sure it's on our website as a city also. I know it's on our Twitter, but you can go to our website. But friendsoftrees.org/event-calendar/ is where you go, and you just go down to the 23rd where it's our event and you can RSVP. So friendsoftrees.org/event-calendar/. So there's a lot to do this Saturday. I might do the tree. I don't want to compete with the daffodils though, because that sounded like a pretty special historical event, but I might try to jump in and if I can get a couple hours to do something this Saturday. So come join me, or come if you can even eke out a little bit of time, it makes a difference. Mayor, that's all I got this week.
All right, thank you. Well, I just will reference, with all the discussion of the many dates, we do have something in our packet that lists a lot of the meetings, including, I will say one more time, the next city council meeting is actually November 1st. I had a typo somewhere that said a different date. We will see you next Monday, November 1st, for our next city council meeting, and in the packet you'll find all the listings for the various committees that are meeting. We definitely have a lot going on in Wilsonville, so thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda, and I would like to ask the city attorney to read the agenda by title.
Resolution number 2934, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to amend the professional services agreement with J. Ray Ads and PR, Inc. for Explore Wilsonville Tourism Promotion and Development and Destination Marketing Program. Resolution number 2936, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement to the construction manager general contractor contract with Kiewit Infrastructure West Co. to procure a new ozone generation system for the Willamette River Water Treatment Plant Expansion Project. And finally, minutes of the October 4, 2021 City Council meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. That brings us to new business. Will the city attorney please read the resolutions by title?
Resolution number 2928, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville approving an amendment to the Planning Division fee schedule, adding fees for middle housing land divisions, and further refining the fee schedule for wireless communication facilities.
Do we have a staff report?
Give us a second, Mayor.
We will stay right here.
Good evening, Council. I'm glad I didn't have to jump up and run into Council chambers. Thank you. So the fee resolution, this is connected to what we've talked about previously on Ordinance 851, the first portion on the middle housing land divisions. So we've aligned these up with the existing fees we have that are most similar and just called it out on the fee schedule where these would go. The other portion is, here a couple months ago, you approved a fee resolution to update the fees related to small wireless facilities and some other wireless facilities. As we looked at that most closely, there's some, essentially what happened, there's some language that we use versus some language that's used in the federal regulations that kind of got cross-haired, and we worked with a consultant who's an expert on this to get that clarified, and now we've aligned those better so we don't have duplicates and everything uses common language. So that is really the short of the story of why we're back with wireless facility fees. But happy to answer any questions you have about either of those sets of fees to update the planning fee schedule.
I'm not seeing any questions there. No, any clarifying questions? Seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2928?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2928.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. That brings us to Resolution 2929. If the city attorney could please read the title.
Resolution number 2929, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville amending the Old Town Neighborhood Plan and continuing to accept the Old Town Neighborhood Plan as a non-regulatory planning tool.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly, for the staff report.
Certainly. So we've talked a lot about middle housing, so I won't add much to that. This is related to that. We pulled it out simply because it was originally adopted by resolution back in 2011, so staying consistent with that, as it is a non-regulatory document, resolution is appropriate. We did an audit together with other planning documents such as the Old Town, Frog Pond and Bilbao plans, and found some opportunities to both update it to be consistent with the new middle housing rules, other rules that have been passed by the state in the last decade, as well as changes to the neighborhood that have occurred and development that's occurred over the last decade. So to really give it new life and be a useful document going into the future as we continue to work and follow through on all the planning efforts that have been made for the Old Town neighborhood. With that, happy to answer any clarifying questions you have.
I do have a clarifying question. And this might be restating what you already said, but I did attend one of the meetings online, of course, where some of these points were discussed, but could you just recap the level of neighborhood involvement in this, please?
Sure. So we certainly, as we worked through the middle housing project, the Old Town neighborhood was an area of particular focus. It was a particular neighborhood we had two focused discussions with, as well as did additional studies around the neighborhood and really what came out of that is a desire to follow what has been discussed. There's a lot of effort that has been gone through this neighborhood in terms of planning, and so stay true to that to the extent we can under the new rules. And so we've done that, and but we want the neighborhood plan to reflect those new rules so that we understand what we're dealing with moving forward as conversations move forward for any concerns in this neighborhood in the future.
Thank you, and I think that has been described in these various documents quite a bit, but thank you for recapping that. Seeing no further comments or questions, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2929? Councilor LEHAN.
Did I say something? Okay.
No, I thought you were about to raise your hand. I'm looking for a motion to...
Yes, Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2929.
Second? Motion's been moved. Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. And that brings us to resolution 2930. If the city attorney would please read the title.
Resolution number 2930, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to enter into an interim development agreement with Taylor Morrison Northwest LLC regarding design, funding, and construction of regional parks 5 and 6 in the Claremont subdivision in Villebois.
Thank you. We're ready for our staff report.
Thank you very much, Mayor Fitzgerald, members of the City Council. This is Chris Namsu. I'm the city's Community Development Director, and this evening I'm here to present to you resolution number 2930, which is an interim development agreement with Taylor Morrison LLC regarding the design, construction, and funding for Regional Park 6 and a small portion of Regional Park 5 in the Claremont neighborhood in the Villebois subdivision. So, excuse me one second, while I minimize the, I got it, thank you. So a little bit of background for your consideration. The Claremont subdivision was approved by the City Council and the Development Review Board back in 2018. Claremont is referred to in Villebois terminology as Preliminary Development Plan 5 North, meaning that it's the 5th phase of the North Specific Area Plan. And it contains a part of Regional Park 5, a small portion that I'm going to show you on a slide that's coming up, as well as all of Regional Park 6. Regional Park 6 is the last regional park in Villebois that we have the pleasure of working on and constructing for the larger community, and Taylor Morrison Northwest LLC is the home builder who is constructing the Claremont subdivision and its associated lots. There are two important conditions of approval that came out of the City Council and DRB approval that address the reason that we're here tonight. And condition number PFC 2 states, the applicant shall enter into a development agreement with the city that clarifies responsibilities, reimbursements, and estimated costs for construction of Regional Park 6. This is the essence of why we're here tonight, is to come up with an overall funding plan to construct and complete Regional Park 6. There's also condition PDC 3 that states all park and open space improvements approved by the DRB shall be completed prior to issuance of the 45th house permit for PDP 5 North. And that is essentially requiring that the developer complete the park by the issuance of the 50th percent building permit, which at the time of DRB approval was 89 lots, so that 45th building permit would not be allowed to be issued unless the park was substantially complete, or consistent with the condition, bonding for the improvements may be permitted. There are several key provisions in the development agreement that I would like to bring to your attention. These are high-level summaries of what you'll find in the interim development agreement. Taylor Morrison is required to construct and complete Regional Park 6 and the balance of Park 5 as set forth in the DRB conditions in accordance with the adopted plans and specifications. Taylor Morrison shall initially bear the cost of designing and constructing Park 6 and the remainder of 5 at the developer's sole cost and expense, to be credited on a lot-by-lot basis at permit issuance by the city. And in consideration of the developer's construction and installation of Park 6 and the balance of Park 5, the city will grant credits to the developer against parks system development charges that would otherwise be assessed against each home until the park's SDC credits in an amount equal to $569,328, which is the credited amount, have been given back to the developer. The parties agree to collaborate with each other in good faith to update the park design as needed or desired. No amendment, change, or modification of the park design and amenities shall be valid unless agreed to by the city in writing and signed by both parties. If agreement cannot be reached, the park design will remain unchanged. All other conditions established by the Development Review Board shall be and continue to remain in full force and effect as written, and the legal staff and myself will be coming back to you with a more comprehensive development agreement that addresses some other issues that are not included in this interim development agreement within 30 days of the effective date of this agreement. This interim agreement is solely in consideration of the city issuing Taylor Morrison public works permits to continue work on the PDP subdivision to execution of the comprehensive development agreement. So we will, prior to execution of the comprehensive development agreement. So bottom line there is I will be returning to you at the second meeting in November with the formal, lengthier, more comprehensive legal development agreement that builds upon the issues that I just highlighted in this relatively short and condensed interim development agreement. I wanted to orient you to the location. I have my little arrow is up on the screen. I'm circling what is called the Claremont subdivision, PDP 5 North. It is bound by Tews Road to the north, formerly the 110th Street right-of-way to the east, and the Calais subdivision is off to the west. This map is a marketing map of the Claremont subdivision showing the different house varieties within the 87 lots that will be built for the Claremont project. And you can see down here in the lower corner, this is the corner of Park 5 that is incomplete. And you can see the property line for the Claremont subdivision takes in this small corner of Regional Park 5 where there will be a tennis court, pickleball facility, as well as an extension of the Ice Age Tonkin Trail that will then enter into Regional Park 6, which is a sloping site. It slopes from the top of the trail here downhill in a northeasterly direction and traverses through a really nice native fir grove that was relatively undisturbed and has some beautiful canopy, has quite a bit of wildlife opportunities. Within that forested setting, you will see a couple of playground structures, and then you will cross a street at this location and cross again and come on down to Tews Road on the Ice Age Tonkin Trail. And over here you have a dog park that will be constructed, a small node of some parking, some enhanced landscaping. So the park doesn't contain significant amenities. It's really a nature park type of a experience, or a more of a natural experience, with the tree grove being the primary feature of this park. And that concludes my presentation for you, Council and Mayor Fitzgerald, and I'm more than happy to answer any specific questions that you have. I should note Curtis Hewson, my colleague with Taylor Morrison, he's actually on the Zoom call. I don't know that we'll need him tonight, but I wanted to mention the fact that he is watching, and if we did need to pull him into the meeting, if you had any questions for Taylor Morrison, Curtis is here this evening. Mr. Hewson is here this evening to be able to respond from the applicant's perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I see a hand raised from Councilor West.
I just wanted some clarification. I'm not sure if I'm understanding the map correctly, which is a little embarrassing considering I live in this neighborhood. When I look at this map and I see the dog park with the grove of trees over there, is that Tews Road right there?
Yes.
Okay, is that the park that's recently been started and it has like a bathroom, a little basketball court, and it's kind of dipped down by the wetlands? Is that same park?
No. That park is further to the east.
No.
I'm trying to just orient this map. I mean, I'm a little confused.
This one might help, Councilor West. So,
oh, that looks more real, yeah.
So over here across by the roundabout is where the restroom and the basketball court is, where my cursor is circling now. So this is Park 8 over here. Park 7 is back across the street. So there'll be a small little area here in Park 7 that will be improved, that we have some budget to complete. And then Park 6 is really the hilltop coming off of Trocadero here that you can see in the bright colors with the white and the concrete at the skateboard park. So it comes across, we finish Park 5 on the east side of Trocadero, and then we cross into the subdivision. The bulk of Park 6 is really right in the center of this tree grove, and then the dog park is lower down along Two's Road, down at this location where there are fewer trees that exist. The overall acreage of the park is over 6 acres in size. It's 6.42 acres in size, will be the dedicated public portion of the parkland in the Claremont subdivision. Hopefully that helps.
That map was 1,000 times better.
Great.
Just one quick question. So this Park 8 where I was a little bit confused and kind of, that's not a dog park?
No, but there is a large lawn area there that looks like a place where somebody might be tempted to take a dog.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm totally up to speed now. Thank you for clarifying the maps.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Clarifying questions? Okay. Hearing no further questions for staff, then I will ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2930. Council President AKERVALL.
I move to approve resolution number 2930.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I would just add that you kind of summed up a lot in your, verbally and also in writing where it says there was extensive community involvement, and I know in input, there's been a lot of input kind of going back a ways to today, and I know that there is a lot of interest in getting this going. And I want to commend the staff and citizens for their input in getting us to this point of resolution. Council President AKERVALL.
Thank you. Yes, it seems that this is kind of picking up something that started, earlier, maybe quite a bit earlier, but it's really finishing out. I understand the parks system within Billabong, which is a big and exciting thing. I think the park system within Billabong is one of the many aspects that make it such an incredible neighborhood. So it's very cool to see that happen, and exciting to see this park, how thoughtfully it was planned long ago to be able to preserve some of the trees within the community, which really give it a terrific feel in that neighborhood and for the residents and all of the community members that are enjoying that park system. So I think well done for many, many years of planning that have gone into this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor LEHAN.
Yes, I would just add on to that, and you can see it taking shape now. I mean, it really is starting to look finished, more finished every day. So it looks great.
Councilor West.
Yes, hey, thank you so much. So it must be, at least from Councilor LEHAN's perspective, to see this go. I didn't live here when this was damaged hospital, and I don't think President AKERVALL did either. I don't know if Mayor Fitzgerald did, I'm not sure. But it was quite a while ago, and a legacy that was set forth, a long time ago, I think almost 20 years ago. And to see here, and I walk my dogs a couple times a week in this area, and excited to see that dog park that was talked about way in 2006 and before. Actually, it is happening now, and it's really, I think, speaks to the legacy of Wilsonville, the work of people that have come before myself and Mayor Fitzgerald and President Councilor AKERVALL, and work that Councilor LEHAN really did to advocate, to work on this piece of public policy, and then to see such an innovative, neat neighborhood that the three of us on this council call home actually come to fruition. So this is exciting, and really is a legacy piece, I think, even for the metro area. So this is neat. Thank you. And Chris, thanks for such a great summary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You reminded me of something, so I do want to add couple more things that tie this together. No, I was not living here when Damage Hospital was here, but I have an older sister who is a very experienced nurse practitioner, graduated from the University of Portland and Yale School of Nursing, and she had an internship at Damage State Hospital. That was before I came to live here. And so if we go back to the piazza in the center of Villebois, it's a really short walk over to the skateboard park, and I was there today, and there was one young man doing some really cool skateboard moves, and a father and a 2-year-old who seemed to be just observing, and they just commented how fun it was to watch this skateboarding skill. So that was going on, and then a real short walk away, you've got pickleball already there. And now we know if you turn the other direction in the future, you're going to have more pickleball and this dog park. And how does that all work? It works because we have so many houses of different sizes the construction all contributes to that. So some people do have pretty small yards, or they choose to live in a condo, like 2 people I met last week who were retiring and were really excited to be living in a 1-floor condo that had an elevator done with yards, but they've got that dog park right out there. So it's, think of all the economic shifts we've gone through since this was developed. And Mr. Namsu has more presentations for us on this very park to come. So we'll stick with for maybe chapter 16 or whatever that might be on this one. So if there's no further discussion, I will ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2930. I will ask for the vote to approve Resolution 2930. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. That brings us to continuing business, and I would like to ask the city attorney to read ordinance number 850 on second reading, please.
This is a second reading of ordinance number 850, legislative hearing. An ordinance of the City of Wilsonville adopting the Wilsonville Town Center street plan as an appendix to the Wilsonville Town Center plan, a sub-element of the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. This is a legislative hearing, and I will call to order Wilsonville City Council's second reading on ordinance number 850 as has been read. And although city council meetings are open to the public, this meeting may also be attended remotely in accordance with Oregon law. Information regarding how this public can attend this meeting remotely is posted at City Hall and on the city's website. Public testimony for this proposed ordinance was closed after the first reading. Does any member of council have any questions for staff or the city attorney on ordinance 850?
Well, it would just be the standard one. Have we had any other input?
My understanding is there has been no input on this particular ordinance since the last reading.
Thank you. And hearing no further questions, do I have a motion on ordinance 850?
Your Honor, I move to approve ordinance number 8. Is it adopt or approve? Adopt. I should know that Councilor LEHAN has taught us. Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 850 on second reading.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we enact ordinance 850. I'm going to ask again, is there any discussion? An important part of this type of hearing is why I'm asking again. Is there any further discussion or remarks by any council member before I call for a vote? I think we've covered it. Hearing no further discussion or commentary, I hereby call the question on the motion as made and seconded. Those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, abstaining? The motion passes 4-0. That brings us to ordinance number 851, second reading. If the city attorney would please read the title.
Yes, ordinance number 851. This is a second reading on a legislative hearing. An ordinance of the City of Wilsonville amending the text of the Wilsonville Comprehensive Plan, text of the Development Code, the Frog Pond West Master Plan, and the Villebois Village Master Plan, adopting a legislative zone map amendment to rezone residential properties in the Old Town neighborhood to newly established Old Town residential zone, and declaring development in the planned development residential zones as legal non-conforming to increase the allowance of middle housing in Wilsonville.
Thank you. I call to order Wilsonville City Council's second reading on ordinance number 851 as has been read. And although City Council meetings are open to the public, this meeting may be attended remotely in accordance with Oregon law. Information regarding how the public can attend this meeting remotely is posted at City Hall and on the city's website. Public testimony for this proposed ordinance was closed after the first reading. Does any member of council have any questions for staff or for the city attorney on ordinance 851?
And I will just clarify that
Has there
been no comments.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said, and I will clarify so that you don't have to ask, that we've received no comments on this ordinance since the last reading.
Thank you. Hearing no further questions, do I have a motion on ordinance number 851? Councilor LEHAN.
Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 851 on second reading.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Council President AKERVALL.
I have a procedural question, actually. For the motion, did we need to reference on second reading with edits to Exhibit C as outlined in the memorandum dated October 1st? Did we need to include that piece in the motion?
Was that something that you asked to have done? Or
well, I'm just seeing in our packet that the recommended motion includes verbiage to note, I guess, the Exhibit C and as dated October 1st. So I just wondered if our motion needed to include that piece.
that would be a good idea to include, yes. Please do.
Aye.
Do we need somebody to amend it?
As a maker of the motion, I'm amenable to that change.
Do we need to second that piece?
Could I have a second to the amendment to the motion as made by the motion maker?
I can second the amendment.
The motion has been made and seconded. as amended? But I'm going to ask again, before we vote, is there any further discussion on this motion? Councilor West.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to thank the staff in San Pauli and Barbara for spending time with me this week to answer all my questions. They were fantastic and helped me process some of my questions that I expressed at the last first reading, at the last council meeting. So not that I still don't have ongoing questions or ideas about some of these this expedited land division process maybe in the future. I don't think it needs to be addressed in this. I'm comfortable how the city staff is working to be nimble and bob and weave as necessary to make changes in the future. I'm super proud that we're actually an early adopter, that we're trend setting a little bit, that we're the spearhead in the metro area to adopt these changes. And I think that we have precedence with doing this already when we did it with the ADUs, when we allowed those to be partitioned off so that they could be their own separate entity, their own property too, and that we were kind of the forefront of that also. So we have some precedent of being that way in many different policy arenas. So I would just want to say this is exciting. We'll see how all of these new changes coming to Wilsonville and the metro area are going to impact housing, but I think it was really mindful and thoughtful work by Dan Pauli and the team. So is it Georgia that was here last week? Was that her name?
Dan.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, so she's not here tonight. I don't see her tonight, but thanks to her too. So I guess that's all I have to say as we look to move this forward.
Thank you. That's really great input. And I was going to add that I believe this is also one of the ways over time that we will be able to hopefully enable some more first-time home ownership. It may not be right away, but I think we're making some of those things possible. Any other comments? So hearing no further discussion or commentary, I hereby call the question on the motion as made and seconded. Those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We abstain. Motion passes 4-0. That brings us to Ordinance 852 on second reading. Will the city attorney please read it?
Yes, ordinance number 852, and this is a quasi-judicial ordinance on second reading. An ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a zone map amendment from public facility zone to the village zone on approximately 1.40 acres in the Villebois Village Center, adjacent to the Piazza at Villebois to the northeast and northwest. The land is more particularly described as tax lot 2800 and adjacent right-of-way, section 15 AC, Township 3 South, Range 1 West, Willamette Meridian, Clackamas County, Oregon.
Thank you. I call to order the public hearing regarding proposed ordinance 852 on second reading. Do any of the members of the City Council wish to abstain, declare a conflict of interest, or report any ex parte contact or any information gained outside of the meeting? Have all members familiarized themselves with the application?
Yes.
I have.
Correct? I see that. Thank you. Do any members of the audience wish to challenge the participation of any member of council? And I can't see the audience, but I'll ask the city manager if there is any such input.
We have nobody in the council chambers, and I'm getting a head nod no that we don't have anybody in the virtual audience either.
Okay, thank you. For all those wishing to testify, please be aware that failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the City Council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes an appeal to the the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals, LUBA, based on that issue.
Your Honor.
Testimony and...
Your Honor, I would just clarify, Your Honor, that this hearing was closed for testimony at the first reading, so there is no testimony being taken tonight. So you would just have the discussion amongst yourselves, and then when you vote, you do want to be sure to read on the script. It's the second script for quasi-judicial. You want to be sure to read the appeal rights to LUBA.
Thank you. I have been provided notes from staff that I'm working from, so I think I was given some extraneous information here. So I will ask you to add that information if it's missing from the version that I was provided.
Yeah, I think you got the reading for the first, or the script for the first reading there.
Well, I will tell you it's titled Ordinance Second Reading. So at this time, I call for staff to present the proposal and list the applicable substantive approval criteria. And before doing so, I will ask the parliamentarian, is there any further procedural advice we should hear?
I think you just need to read whatever the language is. Mayor, I'm not sure what happened on that, but you're reading from what should have been the first reading script. So I'll make sure that doesn't happen again, but it's just the language for the second reading.
You know, I would like to pause for a moment and ask to have that emailed to me, please.
Have you got it, Kim?
Yeah, we'll give you just a second.
This was provided to me, so it's going to be necessary for you to send me new information that's the correct version. So we will take can we just take an informal break for 2 minutes while I wait for that information?
Yeah, you can just take a pause here.
Pausing.
From the break, can I bring an informal thing up? Not part of the meeting?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I think because we are in a meeting. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'd rather not have another faux pas.
Let me ask you guys something after we adjourn before everybody logs off really quick.
And this is the reason I answered is because I don't know what you're referring to, and I don't know that it's on the agenda, so that's why.
Oh yeah, it's not anything that serious.
into the record?
Did we locate it?
It's on its way.
I have received this. So I apologize to everyone that the incorrect text was what I had. So we will start over, and please disregard the initial reference to. What I'd like to do for the city attorney is ask if you could please reread the resolution.
Sure.
852 on second reading.
Okay, it's resolution number 852 on second reading. An ordinance of the City of Wilsonville approving a zone map amendment from public facility zone to the village zone on approximately 1.40 acres in the Villebois Village Center, adjacent to the piazza at Villebois to the northeast and northwest. The land is more particularly described as tax lot 2800 and adjacent right-of-way, section 15AC, Township 3 South, Range 1 West, Willamette Meridian, Clackamas County, Oregon.
Thank you. I call to order the public hearing regarding proposed ordinance number 852 on second reading. Do any of the members of the City Council wish to abstain, declare a conflict of interest, or report any ex parte contact or any information gained outside of the meeting?
No.
Nope.
Have all members familiarized themselves with the application? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do any members of the audience wish to challenge the participation of any member of the City Council? And I'll just ask again, Mr. Cosgrove, if you know of any such input.
We have not received any such input, Mayor.
Thank you. For all those, now, this does have a paragraph about testifying that was in the script. And I know because it is second reading, it was stated that we don't want testifying, but it does have this in here. So I will read it. For all of those wishing to testify, please be aware that failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the City Council and parties an opportunity to respond to the issues precludes appeals to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals, LUBA, based on that issue. Testimony for this hearing was closed after the first reading. At this time, I ask staff if we have received any additional input.
We have not, Mayor.
If City Council has no further questions, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Your Honor, I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second? Motion. Thank you. I declare the public hearing to be closed. I would now like to ask the council for any discussion on this matter. Hearing no further discussion, I call for a vote on ordinance 852 on second reading. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Do we have a motion? This is a parliamentary question.
Yeah, I wasn't paying.
So my motion was to...
Oh, excuse me.
I'll make the motion.
I'm sorry. I declare the public hearing closed. Councilor West, do I have a motion on second reading for ordinance 852?
Yes, Your Honor. I move to adopt ordinance number 852 on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, I call for a vote on ordinance number 852 on second reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 Ordinance number 852 is approved on second reading. If you desire to appeal this decision to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals, you must make application stating the grounds of the appeal in the form and within the time prescribed by law. I will now check in with our parliamentarian and see how did we do on that particular procedure.
You did perfectly, and I apologize. Next time I will be sure to look at the scripts before they go your way.
Okay, thank you. We got it done, and I'm just going to return to my agenda. And that brings us to the public hearing for resolution number 2932.
Resolution number 2932, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 21-22.
Do we have a staff report?
Yeah, this is Keith. I'm the city's finance director. So this is a little bit of budgetary housekeeping. This is a budget supplemental, as Barbara noted. Notice was published in the Wilsonville Spokesman on the 6th and the 13th for the notice of the public hearing. The total budget supplemental is for $7,245,679. $5.9 million of that is unused capital improvement project funds from last year that we're requesting to roll over into the current year, and $1.4 million represents new requests, including labor agreement resolution in the amount of $676,000, tourism development increase of $50,000, the ice machine damage, city hall renovation for $279,000, as well as the community ice storm damage for a budget supplemental of $230,000. And the other smaller amounts are listed in the staff report, and the total of all the capital improvement projects that are to be rolled over are listed as an attachment to the staff report that is included in the council packet.
Thank you. We've discussed a number of these items as they have developed over the year, over the last few weeks, and now that it's time for this vote, I appreciate that summary, and I'd like to ask if any members of the council have clarifying questions. Okay. This is a legislative hearing script for a resolution. I call to order the City Council public hearing resolution number 2932 as has been read. I'm going to read the contact information right now for a public hearing. In order to participate, you can see the numbers in front of you on the screen. You go to Zoom and click, if you have that, and enter webinar ID number 815-3605-6468. Please use the raise hand feature if you would like to speak, or dial 1-669-900-6833, webinar ID number 815-3605-6468, and press *9 if you'd like to speak, or email cityrecorder@ci.wilsonville.or.us. So, ladies and gentlemen, the public will be taking public testimony tonight during public hearing. The hearing will be conducted in the following manner. Staff will present a report, as you just heard. Testimony will be received by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor nor or against the proposed resolution. And although City Council meetings are open to the public, this meeting may also be attended remotely in accordance with Oregon law. Information regarding how the public can attend this meeting remotely and give testimony is posted at City Hall and on the city's website. Notice was given that testimony could be submitted for the record in advance in writing by emailing or mailing it to the city recorder. Testimony may be submitted in writing at any time prior to the closure of the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no further testimony in any form will be accepted. If you wish to provide testimony remotely, when the time for public testimony is called, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone if you would like to testify, or if you would like to notify the city recorder you wish to submit written testimony. If you're having difficulties with these instructions, you may dial the phone numbers I just described and those that are posted on the screen. When called upon to testify, state your full name and address for the record. I request from those providing testimony not to repeat testimony that has already been given to the City Council. Simply indicating that you agree with the prior testimony given by a speaker you identify is sufficient. If you wish to submit written testimony when called upon, email your testimony to the City Recorder, who will provide copies to the City Council. And I already asked for the staff report. Is there further staff reporting that you'd like to add, Mr. Katko?
Not unless anybody has any questions. That's the total of it.
Well, at this point, I would ask if any of the council does have questions for staff at this time. Okay. Hearing no more questions for staff, I will call for the public testimony. Remember to state your name and address for the record, whether the testimony and whether your testimony is in support, against, or neutral. Do we have anyone from the public wishing to provide testimony, Mr. Cosgrove?
We do not, Mayor.
Do any members of the council have any further questions for staff or any other party who testified before this public hearing is closed? Hearing no further questions and everyone having testified, I hereby declare this public hearing closed. Do I have a motion on Resolution 2932? Council President AKERVALL.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2932.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2932. Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion or remarks by any council member before I call for the vote? Hearing no further discussion or commentary, I hereby call the question on the motion as made and seconded. Those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 4-0. That brings us to city manager's business.
Mayor, just one item for you tonight. I think I've sent a couple emails out about an uptick in petty crimes around the community. Charbonneau's been hit particularly hard. And so I just have some brief comments on that, but I want to let you know that I'm asking Chief Werbs to come to one of our upcoming meetings with some more data. And I know he's having some conversations with Jim Marietta at Charbonneau. So he'll have more information on that, and he's helping strategize with those folks on how they can protect their community. But we're asking everybody to report any suspicious activities, not to leave any valuables in your car or your garage. It's been reported that this element that's running around Charbonneau has a way to bypass security codes on garages. I don't know all the facts on that, but hopefully Chief Werbs can fill you in on that at the next meeting or so. If you're going to be out of town and you're expecting deliveries, have your neighbor pick up your packages. Just, try to implement as much neighborhood watch stuff as you can to protect yourself and your fellow neighbors. We are doing some enhanced patrols in areas that we know have been hit pretty hard. Unfortunately, right now, overtime isn't an option. We did initiate some overtime the last time Charbonneau was experiencing something like this, but right now the sheriff's office is reporting that they have mandatory overtime just to cover normal patrol duties. So if and when that backlog clears, then maybe we can do something a little more enhanced on overtime. I think that's about it. Like I said, Chief Werps will be back with some more data and, report on some of the conversations he's had in the community. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. Other than that, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And before we're now going to legal business, and I'm going to ask our city attorney, or let you know that Councilor West wanted to ask us a brief question. If something's not on the agenda, can we do that at this time?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor West, and then we'll go to legal business.
So it's not anything official. I just wanted to make sure that the rest of the council know that the last home game for Wilsonville football is Friday if you wanted to go. And I still need to drop off your swag, which will happen the next day or two. I'll drop it off at City Hall. I don't know where all the councilors live. I know where some of you do, but just to make sure it's in one spot, I'll have your little swag bag that I showed you guys available soon. If you want to go, if you want more information, call me, whatever, email me. And it'd be great to see you guys there. It looks like we're going to playoffs if you want to go to one of those games too, but they can be pretty far.
Well, that was great. Thank you. Definitely not a big controversial issue, just fun stuff. Thank you very much. And we'll now go to legal business.
Well, I was just going to consider that my legal business for the night. It's more interesting than anything else I would have had to say, so that will do it.
A wildcat.
Okay. So before we move too fast, I will adjourn this meeting, and then we will re-adjourn for an urban renewal agency meeting immediately following this council meeting. The Wilsonville City Council meeting is hereby adjourned. I will call to order City of Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency meeting, October 18th, 2021 at 8:50 p.m. Could we please have a roll call?
Member West?
Present.
Member AKERVALL?
Here.
Member LEHAN?
Here.
Chair Fitzgerald?
Here.
And Member Linville is excused.
That brings us to the citizen input part of the agenda. This is an opportunity for visitors to address the City Council on items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but are not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the City Council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizens' input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. You can use the raise hand feature of Zoom to let us know you would like to provide comments. Do we have anyone present for citizen input?
We do not, Mayor.
For community announcements, thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. If the agency attorney would please read it.
The consent agenda is the minutes of the July 19, 2021 Urban Renewal Agency meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you, Member LEHAN. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Member AKERVALL. The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Thank you. And that brings us to a public hearing, Urban Renewal Agency Resolution number 321.
Urban Renewal.
I call to order. Pardon me?
I have to read it quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. URA resolution number 321, a resolution authorizing a supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal year 2021-22. Now the floor is all yours, Mayor.
Okay. I call to order the Wilsonville Urban Renewal Agency public hearing on URA Resolution 321 as has been read. Ladies and gentlemen, the Urban Renewal Agency will be taking public testimony tonight during the public hearing. The hearing will be conducted in the following manner. City staff will present a report, testimony by proponents, opponents, and those neither in favor nor against the Urban Renewal Agency resolution. And although the Urban Renewal Agency meetings are open to the public, this meeting may also be attended remotely in accordance with Oregon law. Information regarding how the public can attend this meeting remotely and give testimony is posted at City Hall and on the city's website. Notice was given that testimony could be submitted for the record in advance in writing by emailing or mailing it to the city recorder. Testimony may be submitted in writing at any time prior to the closure of the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no further testimony in any form will be accepted. If you wish to provide testimony remotely, when the time for public testimony is called, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone if you would like to testify or if you would like to notify the city recorder you wish to submit written testimony. If you're having difficulties with these instructions, you may call the 1-669-900-6833 number, and when prompted, enter webinar ID number 815-3605-6468. Both numbers are shown on the screen. When called to testify, state your full name and address for the record. I request from those providing testimony not to repeat themselves, which has already been given to the Urban Renewal Agency. Simply indicating you agree with the prior testimony given by a speaker you identify as sufficient. If you wish to submit written testimony when called upon, email your testimony to the city recorder who will provide copies to the Urban Renewal Agency. Staff, please submit your report.
Hello again, my name is Kitkata. I'm the city's finance director. This is just a little bit more budget housekeeping. Public notice was published in the Wilsonville Spokesman on October 6th and October 13th. And tonight it's just a budget supplemental for two projects, two CIP rollover amounts for unused amounts from the prior year. The first one is CIP 4196, which is the 5th Street Kinsman project. The request is to roll over $2.1 million. And the second request is for CIP 4201, which is the Garden Acres Road project, and that is a budgetary request to roll over $200,000. So just two projects.
Thank you, Mr. Katko. Does any member of the Urban Renewal Agency have any questions for staff? Hearing no more questions for staff, I will call for public testimony. Remember to state your name and address for the record, whether your testimony is in support, against, or neutral. Do we have anyone prepared to present?
We do not, Mayor.
Do any members of the Urban Renewal Agency have any further questions for staff or any other party who testified before this public hearing is closed? Hearing no further questions and everyone having testified, I hereby declare this public hearing closed. Do I have a motion on Urban Renewal Resolution number 321?
Chair, I move that we approve URA Resolution number 321.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second it.
Thank you, Member LEHAN and Member West. Is there any discussion? The motion having been moved and seconded, are there any further discussion or remarks by any Urban Renewal Agency member before I call for the vote? Hearing no further discussion or commentary, I hereby call the question on the motion as made and seconded. Those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 4-0. I will hereby adjourn the Urban Renewal Agency meeting.